I'm just, if you can get closer, because I'm
Yeah,
just going
we
to
figure
step
we'll
out
have
like
you here
this.
because then we won't have the sun in the background.
Stand by. We're getting ready to go here. Yeah, it's from the phone. Huh? I think so. Yeah.
Can we, over here?
Yeah, just hold that.
Because we don't have the sun.
Yeah, come up, please.
Does that look good?
Oh, can I have a look? Stand by. You alright if I clip one on you?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be able to pick up the mirror too. Yeah. Okay. So we're going back. No, we just take everything on this side. I mean, it'll be
You've got all the bells and whistles
Yeah.
that goes on.
Okay, let's go, you want to go around the back? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Check, 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 check. Okay, where did the mayor go?
Drive up around Goggett? Yeah, absolutely.
Cassie, is the audio still good? Okay. All right. Yeah. Toss. Yeah. If you guys are ready, we're ready.
We're ready.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here today to talk about an officer who was shot. We do not have a lot of details to offer right now. I'll let the chief talk about anything that he can reveal at this time. It is an ongoing investigation, but this is something that we are very upset about, obviously. This is the worst news that you can hear, that an officer has been shot. We are so lucky that this officer is being treated. He's talking, and it's serious injuries, but we're confident that he's going to be okay. This is an example to our community that our officers put their lives on the line every single day. And we have seen an uptick in drive-by shootings, an uptick in violent crime. That's why we have stood up a violent crimes task force. This violence has got to stop. We were inches away from losing an officer. And again, I got a knock on the door today about this. I'm just going to tell you, it's the worst news that a mayor could hear. It's the worst news that a police chief and his fellow officers can hear. It is, my God, the worst thing the family of an officer can hear. And let me just tell you, this has got to stop. We have got to stop resorting to violence and the shootings that we're seeing. And as a community, we need to do better. I'm going to let let Chief Meidl give you the details, but this is a sad day for our community. We just hosted an iconic event. Hoop Fest came back after 3 years. We have a lot of people from out of town here for this weekend. Thank God this didn't happen in our downtown core with thousands of people, spectators and players downtown. We are so very fortunate that this wasn't worse. But I'll let the chief talk about more details.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is all preliminary information. The investigation is still ongoing at this time. We're really at the beginning stages of this investigation. So again, just to remind everyone, this is all subject to change. But here's the information we have now. This afternoon at about 1:40, the Spokane Police Department received a report of a drive-by shooting in the area of 1600 East Garland. While officers responding to that drive-by shooting, a second report came in of a drive-by shooting occurring at 3000 North Martin. One of the first officers in the area noticed a suspect vehicle that matched one of the descriptions given by one of the complainants on the drive-by, closing rapidly on her vehicle. As a second officer responding to that scene drove past the officer in the suspect vehicle, Shots were fired from the suspect vehicle at the officer as he was driving by. That officer was wounded in the leg and the head. The suspect vehicle then fled the scene at a rapid rate with multiple officers in pursuit of the vehicle. The suspect vehicle subsequently crashed and 2 occupants fled. They were quickly apprehended by Spokane police officers. We did recover several guns from the scene. There are multiple scenes related to this. We transported the officer to the hospital where he is in serious but stable condition. As you heard the mayor say, we were able to speak with him. He is coherent. He's surrounded by his family and his loved ones right now. We did ask the Spokane County Sheriff's Office to take over the lead on the criminal investigation portion of this, so they will be the lead investigative agency on this incident. We will have much more information as this unfolds. We do have 2 people detained related to this incident. At this point, we do not believe there are any more outstanding, but the investigation will reveal whether there's any more involved in this. Any questions?
Sorry, we're having audio issues. Can you tell us again where the officer was wounded?
So I believe he was very close to one of the drive-by shooting houses, and as he's responding to that house over on Perry Street is where he was shot.
And then the injuries that he sustained?
He received an injury to his leg and to his head.
Sir, when I was passing by, I covered the property crime ring that was busted, and it was right by these homes that are now guarded off again. Can you say if that was connected to that property crime ring bust that now is a part of this drive-by shooting?
I don't have that information right now.
Okay.
And that was Perry and Empire, that location.
Right in that area, yes.
Do you have like a chronological timeline as to like where the first one was, where the second one was, and then like the third, fourth, fifth?
Of the different scenes?
Of the different scenes, yeah.
I don't have that for you right now. I can tell you the first drive-by shooting was called in at 1:40, and then there was a second drive-by shooting called in shortly afterwards. Sounds like there was a 5-minute delay on that second drive-by shooting, but it occurred after the first drive-by shooting. So officers were flooding the area, and that's when one of our officers said she saw a vehicle matching the description involved in the drive-bys quickly and aggressively closing in on her vehicle.
We have a list of 5 locations. That's where all drive-by shootings were reported there? At each of those locations?
We can get you the exact information on the number of drive-bys reported at that location, but the preliminary information is at least one of these locations has been involved in multiple drive-bys.
And are you thinking the suspects detained were responsible for all of these? Any sort of idea on these connections at this time?
We anticipate that should come out through the investigation, but I don't have any information to give you on that right now. I do need to point out this is the 3rd law enforcement officer shot in our area in the last 2 years. We had Officer Rodriguez shot by carjacking suspects, if you recall that incident. And then we have an ATF agent that was also shot out on Sunset Boulevard as well. And as the mayor has indicated, the level of violence in this community has to stop. This is outrageous. We have a violent community preying on other community members, and we have a violent community that is now targeting officers, and this absolutely has to stop.
Did any officers fire any shots during the incident?
At this point, the initial investigation, it does not appear any of our officers fired any of their weapons.
And there were no civilians injured, is that?
I don't have any in terms of by the
By the suspect.
related. I don't have that information for you right now.
Are you able to give any sort of details about the location of the officer, anything like that, at the hospital or anything?
No, not at this time. Out of respect for the family, we prefer folks not go up to the hospital.
Did the suspects turn themselves in, or like were they taking a touch of eyes there?
No, the suspects ended up crashing and then fleeing from the vehicle, and we had officers in the area that were able to quickly apprehend them.
Can you say again, you recovered several weapons and firearms at the scene?
We did recover several weapons, and again, I anticipate that will be coming out exactly what we recovered in the next couple of days.
And then, sir, I'm just trying to get a better understanding. Like we said, we have 2 locations where there is the first shooting and then the second shooting. These other addresses, 600 East Dalton, Liberty, Nevada, Empire, and Perry, is that just where you guys are looking for more details? Or I guess, why is there active scenes still there?
So each of the drive-by locations is a scene that we need to process. The location where the officer is shot is a scene that we need to process. And then the location where the suspects crashed their vehicle is a scene that we need to process. And then additionally, the location where the suspects were actually apprehended and taken into custody needs to be processed as well. So, yeah, it's accurate to say there are many, many scenes that we still need to process.
How long can folks expect closures in those areas?
I would say at least for the next several hours.
Mayor, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Mayor, you say something needs to change. I guess, what do you want our community to know? This is a terrible day. What change needs to happen, and how can we all support that?
Well, we need to stop resorting to violence. And we're seeing more and more of that in our community. And in communities across the country. Cities across the country are facing an uptick in crime, and especially violent crime. We need to get a handle on that. I am thankful that these individuals are in custody right now, and we'll have more information on whether or not they're the ones who committed the crime. But I am thankful for the quick work of our officers who are on the scene. I am thankful that we didn't lose an officer this afternoon, and we need to do something to compel our communities to not resort to violence. And I understand, coming out of COVID, we've got mental health issues in our communities. We've got a fentanyl crisis in our community. We are a distribution hub for narcotics because of geographically where we are, close to Canada, I-90 to the east coast. But we've got to get a handle on that, and we need help. Communities need help to be able to do this. And I am thankful for the chief's leadership. I'm thankful for the Violent Crimes Task Force and the work that they're doing, the crimes that they are solving, the suspects that they are getting. But these people need to be in jail, and they need to be in jail for a very long time.
Chief, we heard from the mayor about her first reactions to the news. What was your first reactions when you heard this news?
There's a full gamut of emotions. There's fear. Is the officer going to be okay? Are any more officers going to be injured? Anger that our officers are going out here every day to protect the community and keep them safe, and that someone would target our officers. Sadness for the level of trauma this causes, not just physical trauma, but emotional trauma. It's the full gamut. And then a little bit of gratefulness when I received information that he was in stable condition, serious but stable.
Have you got a chance to visit the officer?
I did, yes.
We both did.
Yes.
Are you able to elaborate on how that went?
It went well. He was alert, coherent, worried about others covering his shift, and again, worried about the department and the officers that may have to cover his shift, and then also worried about making sure that we have enough officers for the roll calls to keep our community safe.
Similar, relating to all this, but were there any major events like this at Hoop Fest? Any big calls that you've had to respond to throughout the weekend? I know this is on the tail end of Hoop Fest, like the mayor was talking about on the tail end of this event. But
Yeah, just to echo what the mayor had said. Yesterday evening I was in the command post for several hours, and we did have some incidents occur as the Hoop Fest events were winding down, and it goes back to what the mayor has said about it seems so many people are so quick to want to default to violence, and we noticed a little bit of that towards the end of the incident. Thankfully, throughout the majority of the incidents, we had an amazing presence. The majority of the people, the overwhelming majority of the people that were down there were happy, they were excited. The community's open again. They're excited to see their family members play and be able to intermingle with other community members. It's just we have to always be mindful that there is a very, very small group out there that looks at these types of events differently than we do. And thankfully, we had sufficient resources to make sure that everyone had a good time and it was safe.
Chief, can you share who the suspects are and what charges they're booked on?
I anticipate we will be able to get that out tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
How frequently are drive-by shootings being reported this year, and how does that compare to years past?
So we have definitely seen a tremendous escalation in the number of drive-by shootings that we've had for the last couple years. In fact, we can have Corporal Briggs can get you that information on the exact data, but we have seen an increase over the last couple of years of drive-by shootings. And again, in fairness, as the mayor alluded to, related to COVID and mental health issues, this is not just in Spokane. This is Washington State, and this is in the nation. We're seeing this spike in drive-bys, and we're seeing a spike in violent crime as well.
Chief, what's your message to the rest of the department tonight, knowing that someone in the line of duty was shot?
I'm thankful every day for our officers that come in to work. They put on all of this gear. They're excited. They feel blessed to be able to come out and serve the community. And I am thankful that we have people that every day still make that conscious decision to come out and engage with this community in a professional manner. I'm thankful that the officer is going to be okay in the long run. He's got a long road of recovery ahead of him. But I just want to express my appreciation to all of the officers on this department and all of law enforcement in our region. Just a very challenging time right now to be a law enforcement officer, and the last 2 years have really been a challenging time. And then when you add on these types of events, our officers are still committed, and they're coming in every single day, and they need to know this community supports them too. And I think the majority of them do understand this community supports our law enforcement. They understand they have a challenging job to do.
The officer that was injured, was he in the vehicle at the time, or was he out of the vehicle?
My understanding, he was in the vehicle.
So he was pulling up as they were probably shooting at him.
The initial information, it sounds like he was actually driving by the other officer as she was reporting this car closing in fast on her. So as he was driving by, that's when shots were fired from the suspect vehicle. That's the initial information I have.
Yeah, Corporal Briggs said that it was unprovoked of some kind. Is that like true of the suspect firing at this officer?
I will say at this time the officers were not trying to. They did not have their lights on, trying to stop the vehicle. They were still responding to the actual scenes of the drive-by shootings, and in the process of them responding to those scenes, that's when the shots were fired from within the vehicle.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thanks.